Top 20 favorite comedies. So this is a list that I'm really excited to share with you guys because I really don't ever talk about comedies on this channel, and I never really get to talk about comedies that I grew up with and comedies that really resonate with me. So I feel like I never really get to share with y'all my sense of humor that often. But this is just one of many top 20 lists that I already have planned. So be on the lookout over the next few months because I have a handful of top 20 lists prepared, and I'm really excited to get all those out to you guys. So the criteria for my list is not complex at all. It's really quite simple. I'm basically just choosing comedies that I personally laugh incredibly hard to and also consistently laugh throughout the film too. You know, a lot of people say that in order to have a great comedy, you also have to have, you know, a rich and interesting story, and you have to have, you know, meaningful characters and character arcs. I mean, sure, like, if a great comedy is also hilarious and has those aspects to it, then sure, like, I think it could really elevate the film and would probably make it higher on the list. But I don't necessarily need all that for me to enjoy a comedy and to consider it to be an effective comedy. To me, if I just find the film hilarious and I find it consistently hilarious throughout the film, then I'm going to consider it a really effective comedy. So I really tried to limit this list to just like straight comedies. Films that are at least like 90% comedy and, you know, doesn't really have that much drama in the mix. There's maybe like one or two exceptions in this list that are kind of like a balance between drama and comedy and also perhaps action. But for the most part, this list consists of films that I think are completely aiming to be comedies. And a lot of them are quite goofy and silly, and I think a lot of these films are going to tell you a lot about my sense of humor. And another thing you'll notice about this list is that a lot of it comes from the 90s and the early 2000s, because that's just the era that I grew up in. So these are the kind of comedies that I was exposed to. But don't fear that a lot of these comedies are there just for pure nostalgic value. Because I rewatched a lot of the films that I grew up with, and there was quite a handful that I just thought was mediocre or just didn't think was funny at all anymore. So the films that are on this list, I've rewatched now as an adult and still think they hold up comedic wise. But anyway, with all that bullshit out of the way, I know you guys probably like, this guy just doesn't know when to shut the hell up. Now it's time to dive into this list, and we're going to start with number 20, which is...
Oh, you, pretty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, we love you. And our pretty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang loves us too. Hi,
Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, starring Jim Carrey. So, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, obviously I think is the superior film to Ace Ventura. And I understand that this is not a comedy that's for everybody because it's absolutely absurd. This is a film that I still find quite hilarious. Jim Carrey is an actor that I highly respect. I grew up with a lot of Jim Carrey's comedies, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, but Ace Ventura 2 is the one that I feel like still holds the most comedic value. And Jim Carrey, in this film especially, it's like he owns this film. Every single scene that he's in, he just gives it 110%. And he just devotes so much of his physical body and his mental capacity to this character. And it's just, I find it really admirable and just really hilarious. I don't know what it is, but the absolutely stupid and silly shtick that is the character of Ace Ventura that Jim Carrey embodies, it just really works for me. I think it's absolutely hilarious. I think Jim Carrey is a brilliant actor, both comedic-wise and, you know, just in terms of being a legit drama actor. He's also really talented there as well. So yeah, Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. This is a film that still hasn't worn off on me. It's a film that I watched like last year and still found quite hilarious. Steve Oedekerk is the writer and director, and I have another one of his films in here, which I won't spoil yet, but I think Steve Oedekerk is kind of an underrated comedic writer and director. No one really talks about him, but yeah, either way, this is a film that I really enjoy still, and that's why it's number 20 on my list.
The abrasion on the palm of your left hand is a type 1 sustains breaking a fall of 3 to 5 feet. The small remnants of plaster on the tip of your shoe pointed to a careless mason being the culprit. Your new watch, a quality forgery of a Cartier, was most likely purchased through the North African black market, known to reside in Khotan.
And my work habits?
Yes, a workaholic. The urine stain on your pants would signify that you're a single shake man. Far too busy for the follow-up jiggle.
Till the fight don't stop. Don't stop till they get enough. Keep on. Till the fight don't stop. Don't stop till they get enough.
So at number 19, we have Rush Hour 2. So Rush Hour 2, again, a film that I grew up with. I remember watching this in theaters when I was like 3rd or 4th grade or something. And I've seen it so many times. Same with Ace Ventura. I've seen a lot of these comedies I've seen so many times. It's unhealthy. But I find this film still absolutely hilarious. The dynamic between Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan is some of the best, like, buddy cop type of comedy that you'll ever see. And even the action sequences in this film are actually really well choreographed, in my opinion. And I think it's obviously the superior film to the first one. That's why it's on the list. It's also just an insanely quotable film. Pretty much all of these comedies are insanely quotable, and I quote on a daily basis. But this is one of those films where no matter how many times I watch it, even though I know when the joke is coming, it just still absolutely kills me. So yeah, Rush Hour 2, that's why it's number 19 on the list.
Sorry, man. Oh, y'all look alike. Watch out!
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits?
So number 18, we have Young Frankenstein, which is directed by Mel Brooks. So this was tough because I've seen 4 Mel Brooks films: Robin Hood Men in Tights, Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles, and Young Frankenstein. And it was hard to choose the best of that bunch. But I had to go with Young Frankenstein because that is the one that I just find more hilarious, and I just feel like more of the jokes in this film hit more than the others. And I love the way it just combines like clever satirical humor with just absolute stupidity. And Gene Wilder in this film, what can you say about the guy? Extremely talented person. It's incredibly tragic that he's not with us anymore. Because he's an absolute delight to watch on screen. And again, one of those actors that just gives it his all. He gives it 110% with every scene. And he's part of the reason why, I think this film works so well, is because he embodies his character so incredibly well. And his comedic delivery is some of the best that you'll ever see. Mel Brooks is somebody who is brilliant at just taking a genre or an era of filmmaking and just spoofing the hell out of it to an insane degree. But yeah, out of all the Mel Brooks films, this is the one I come back to the most. I think if it was second place, I'd probably go with Spaceballs, but yeah, Young Frankenstein, really hilarious film. That's why it's number 18 on my list.
Reflex movements are those which are made independently of the will, but are carried out along pathways which pass between the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system. You filthy, rotten, yellow son of a bitch! We are not aware of these impulses. Neither do we intend them to carry out our contraction of muscles.
So number 17, we have Happy Gilmore. So let's just go and address the elephant in the room. Yes, I have an Adam Sandler film in my list. I've stated multiple times that I actually really like Adam Sandler. Obviously, some of his later works are absolutely inexcusable garbage. I can't make excuses for that. But I feel like a lot of his older stuff still really works for me. The Waterboy, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, The Wedding Singer, a lot of those films, even Big Daddy, I still really like quite a bit. So yeah, like there's obviously like cheese in those films and all of them, and there's this everlasting corny aspect to his films. Especially with his later stuff, it just gets worse. But I still really like them, and I feel like the comedy just really works for me. And this is the film that I think is his best in terms of his older stuff. I think the vast majority of the attempts at comedy in this film really work. Adam Sandler, I think he's a really talented guy, both comedically and dramatically. We've all seen his talent in Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems. And I feel like he really showcases his comedic talent in this film. Christopher McDonald as Shooter McGavin, I swear, that is one of the best villains in a comedy that I've ever seen in my entire life. Such an iconic character. He's also absolutely hilarious in this film. And yeah, this film obviously grew up with it. It's a film that I've watched since I was a kid, and for me, it just never got old. I still really love this film. That's why it's number 17 on my list.
Well, look, let's get something to eat. There's a Red Lobster nearby. My treat. Maybe some other time. Shooter, I thought we were gonna be friends. Oh, we're friends. We are. I just gotta go. Okay, well, I'll be at the Red Lobster in case you change your mind, Shooter. God bless!
So at number 16, we have What We Do in the Shadows, which is written and directed by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement. So, What We Do in the Shadows is actually a comedy that I saw someone recently. I actually have a review out for it, and it's a film that I was absolutely shocked at just how gut-bustingly hilarious I found it. This is a film that's packed with so many comedic attempts, and like 90 to 95% of them really land. It's just a really well-written and well-directed vampire spoof film that, again, has a lot of just outrageous, stupid humor, but at the same time, finds a way to incorporate a lot more clever and subtle jokes. But most of it's like laugh-out-loud hilarious, to be honest with you. I'd be surprised if anybody found this movie dull or didn't think it was funny at all, because this entire film I found to be just a laugh riot. And I highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it yet, or if you just know about it and you've been sleeping on it, please check this film out. I can pretty much guarantee you that you'll have a good time with this film. That's why it's number 16 on my list.
You negs and negs.
I went into the lounge the other day and there was blood all over my nice antique couch.
Which one? The red one?
Well, it's red now, yeah.
So at number 15, we have Talladega Nights. So, again, one of those comedies that I find absolutely hilarious, and I'm not sure, like, where this is going to land with. Honestly, I don't know how much any of these comedies are going to land with any of y'all watching this. I could see a lot of people watching this and being like, holy shit, this guy has a horrible sense of humor. But I'm sorry, like, a lot of these films definitely shape my sense of humor and definitely define it, because I find Talladega Nights to be absolutely hilarious. I know a lot of people aren't really fans of Will Ferrell, but Will Ferrell was just, he is a genius in this film. Like, he embodies this absolutely ridiculous role of just this really spoiled NASCAR success who's just so full of himself and just can't get enough of himself. And I could just watch that kind of shit all day. This film I found absolutely hilarious. Again, insanely quotable film. Probably one of the more quotable films that I've ever seen.
Came in, you said, if you ain't first, you're last.
Oh, hell, Ricky, I was high when I said that. I mean, that doesn't make any sense at all. You first, you're last. You can be second, you can be third, fourth, hell, you can even be fifth.
John C. Reilly in this film also just knocks it out of the park. Really talented actor. I think John C. Reilly is honestly one of the more underrated actors that we have out there, because he has excellent comedic timing, and he's also a really great actor in general, dramatically speaking. The kinds of films that he's in, like, you'll see him in, as Dr. Steve Brule, Tim and Eric spinoff show on Adult Swim, and he plays an absolutely ridiculous character there.
Oh, hi, viewer. Welcome back to check it out. What's this now? There's too many dang letters on up here, dang.
But then you'll see him, like, in a film like The Thin Red Line, or in a film like Gangs of New York or something like that. And I just think he has gigantic range as an actor, and I think he's a little bit underappreciated by the film industry. I hope one day he kind of gets the recognition he deserves. Maybe he'll win an award or something one day, but he's great in this film, obviously. But yeah, this is a film I find absolutely hilarious. Just like every scene just offers something really gut-bustingly funny. Sacha Baron Cohen is absolutely amazing in this film as well. He plays like the rival to Ricky Bobby's character, this French guy with this hideously over-exaggerated French accent.
And I am a racing car driver just like you, except I am from Formula 1.
That I just find absolutely hilarious. I'm going to be saying that word a lot, hilarious, because how else am I supposed to really describe all my favorite comedies? But yeah, Talladega Nights, really great comedy, and that's why it's number, where am I at? Number 15? Number 15 on my list.
You sick sons of bitches. I mean, you walk in that door on your two legs all fat and cocky, and looking at me in my chair, and you tell me it's all in my head? I hope that both of you have sons, handsome, beautiful, articulate sons who are talented and star athletes, and they have their legs taken away. I mean, I pray you know that pain and that hurt.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby! Don't you put that on us!
Can't you see he's the man? Let me hear you applaud. He is more than a man. He's a shiny golden god.
So at number 15, we have Tenacious D, The Pick of Destiny. So this is another one of those films I'm not sure how y'all are going to react to, but this is a film that I absolutely love. I remember watching this in theaters, and I had never seen Jack Black in anything besides, like, you know, PG-13 stuff, so I kind of expected something along those lines when I saw this in the theater. Holy shit, was I wrong, and was I completely shocked at what I was seeing. I had never seen Jack Black spit so many curse words and just repeat so many vile things, but it was really cool because it introduced me into this whole different side of Jack Black, and it was really cool to know that, like, Tenacious D was basically, like, one of the very first things that, you know, really sparked his career and really got it going. So this is like what Jack Black pretty much got famous for, was this kind of really pervasive and like juvenile type of humor that is Tenacious D. And I also think Tenacious D is just an excellent band. Like, I'm sorry, but I think they're actually pretty damn good songwriters. And this film, I mean, it's a metal rock opera. Like, it's a metal rock musical. How am I not gonna like this? A lot of these songs are actually really well written. And you have this amazing, like, Clockwork Orange reference in this film.
Well, what do we have here, my little snoggles?
I remember when I first watched this film, I didn't know what Clockwork Orange was. I was kind of confused that, you know, the whole get-up. And then later, when I watched Clockwork Orange, I was like, that's what Tenacious D was making fun of. And then also, of course, we get that absolutely amazing and iconic final act scene in this film where Tenacious D has a rock-off with the devil.
I am complete.
Who's played by Dave Grohl, by the way, from Foo Fighters. And that was just excellent casting, and he did a great job playing Satan. And yeah, I love that song. I love all the music in this film. I think it's really well written and really hilarious. Ben Stiller also has a cameo in this film and really helped produce it. And his little side character in this film was really hilarious as well. So yeah, I love this film quite a bit. This is definitely one of my favorites, and that's why it's number 14 on my list.
Stop judging yourself. You're judging yourself. That's why that riff sucks. No fucking mental blocks. Release the chin. That's all right. Can you play a little higher, higher up, higher notes, higher notes, higher notes, higher notes, higher notes, higher notes? Can you play any higher notes? Sorry, I didn't mean to yell.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
So number 13, we have Pineapple Express. So Pineapple Express is a film that I've seen so many times. Like, I've had to have seen this film like more than 15 or 20 times. And it never gets old. This is a film that just from start to finish just makes me gut bust with laughter. It's a laugh right, in my opinion. And it's a film that, you know, I feel like you don't really even have to be a stoner or smoke weed to really just find hilarious and find absolutely absurd. James Franco and Seth Rogen in this film are just dynamite. They play off each other so well. Bill Hader at the beginning of this film is also absolutely iconic. I love that opening scene.
I feel like a slice of butter melting on top of a big old pile of flapjacks. Yeah.
And Danny McBride as the middleman drug dealer. Just beautiful stuff. This is a film that I will not apologize for loving. It's an incredible comedy. And that fight scene is just, I swear to God, like one of the most hilarious fight scenes I've ever seen in a film. But yeah, excellent comedy that knows what it is from start to finish. And I couldn't recommend it enough. And that's why it's number 13 on my list.
Red! You assholes, you ruined my portable phone!
Teamwork.
Yes! You gotta break the door! Are you gonna pay for it?
So number 12, we have Napoleon Dynamite. So So Napoleon Dynamite, I don't think is a controversial pick at all. I think pretty much everybody loves Napoleon Dynamite. And I was a little bit torn because I made myself choose between Nacho Libre or Napoleon Dynamite. And I know that, there are definitely more fans of Napoleon Dynamite than Nacho Libre, but I personally really love Nacho Libre. I talk about that film in I think it was my top 10 films that I love that most people hate. Love Nacho Libre, but I had to go with Napoleon Dynamite because this is a film, again, that I've seen so many damn times, and the shtick never gets old. These characters never get old. The jokes never get old. Just, this is a film that is also unlike most comedies that you'll ever see. Just the amount of awkwardness, and a film that manages to be a little bit surreal at the same time. Just the awkward atmosphere in this film that's also filled with awkward characters is something that to me is never going to get old, because it never feels too awkward and uncomfortable to where you're just like, you can't take the cringe. But it's just that sweet spot of awkwardness that you can't help but continue to rewatch over and over again. Jared Hess sucks, man, because he only made Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre. Those are the only two films that he made that was worth watching. I haven't bothered with anything else he made after that because I hear they're just inexcusably god-awful. So that's kind of tragic. I hope one day he's able to get his groove back together and make more great films like those, like Nacho Libre and Napoleon Dynamite. But, either way, it's an excellent film. That last talent show dance scene is absolutely incredible and iconic. That's the kind of stuff that will live on in people's memories forever. So yeah, really great and hilarious film, and that's why it's number 12 on my list.
Now, I want you to kick me. Come on, kick me. Okay, do it again. Do it again.
Ouch.
Okay, you'll block it every time.
So number 11, we have Superbad. Superbad, one of those films that, again, I can't count on two hands how many times I've seen that film. And this is a film that, I think, I used to not think was controversial to say that you really loved it, but, now in the coming years, I'm finding more and more people say that they don't like it, they think it's obnoxious. Perry, I'm definitely going to point you out because Perry said he absolutely hates this film. I don't see how anybody can hate this film, still don't understand it, but to me, this film is comedic genius from start to finish. Yes, it's juvenile. Yes, it's pervasive. Yes, it's incredibly explicit. And yes, it can be obnoxious, but I feel like it just embodies the horny, desperate high school teens better than I've seen any other film embody them. Jonah Hill, this film, absolutely excellent. Michael Cera, excellent. He's so good at playing that really awkward teenager who just can't help but insert himself in absolutely cringy moments. Michael Cera, excellent in this film. Everybody in this film's excellent. So I believe I talked about this film in my video I made almost, I think 2 years ago almost now, my top 25 favorite films ever made. It's way at the bottom of the list there. But yeah, Superbad, excellent film. I find it to be absolutely hilarious. Seth Rogen, Bill Hader as the cops, really unforgettable stuff. I just think all the comedy in this film really works and really lands, and that's why it's number 11 on my list.
These eyes cry every night for you. These arms
So number 10, we have Tropic Thunder. So Tropic Thunder is a film that I don't think is a controversial pick at all. Tropic Thunder, I believe, is pretty much well-liked by everybody. This is a film that I think is both written and directed by Ben Stiller. I know he directed it. I'm not 100% sure if he wrote it. But either way, this is a film that I think is comedically genius, sincerely comedically genius. I feel like it satirizes and criticizes and makes fun of Hollywood in a really unforgiving way that just really works on both a comedic level and also on a sincere level. This film dives into a lot of truths about Hollywood, whether it's the probable absurdities of method acting, which is obviously displayed through Robert Downey Jr.'s character, whether it's the shameless attempts at Oscar baity films, as demonstrated through Simple Jack. This film I think is just comedically effective in a lot of different ways. Jack Black's character, who's addicted to heroin, is just absurd and hilarious. Ben Stiller, a guy who is still like really serious about acting and is really trying to like still get recognition. Yeah, all the characters are just great. This is a film that, again, I don't think, people will have much problem with me loving, because it's a film that I think is just really well written, really well directed. Tom Cruise, I can't believe I almost forgot about Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise as Les Grossman in this film as just like this slimy Hollywood producer. Honestly, like one of Tom Cruise's best roles, and I'm not even joking. Like it's kind of scary how great he is at comedy, because in this film it's like, damn, this guy is hilarious, and he's almost doing this too well to where you're just like, where is this coming from? But yeah, either way, great film. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet, which I highly doubt, but that's basically why it's number 10 on my list.
First, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face! Now, I don't know what kind of pan-Pacific bullshit power play you're trying to pull here, but Asia, Jack, is my territory. So whatever you're thinking, you better think again. Otherwise, I'm going to have to head down there, and I will rain down on a godly fucking firestorm upon you. You're going to have to call the fucking United Nations and get a fucking binding resolution to keep me from fucking destroying you. I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker. I will massacre you. I will fuck you up!
So at number 9, we have School of Rock. So School of Rock is a Richard Linklater film starring Jack Black. School of Rock is a film that, again, I've probably seen like over 20 times. And, again, never gets old. Jack Black is, again, if you haven't figured it out, somebody who I actually really respect and admire in a lot of different ways. Just as an entertainer and also as a musician. And I think this is like a role that was obviously made for him, because I don't see anybody else embodying this role as good as he did. And honestly, kind of a hot take here, but I think School of Rock is Richard Linklater's best film. I know it's, kind of controversial to say, considering he has like Boyhood and Dazed and Confused and the Before trilogy under his belt. But, for those who've watched this channel, I wasn't huge on Before Sunrise. I still have to watch Before Sunset and the other one, so maybe eventually I'll come around to it. But Dazed and Confused is a good movie, but it was never really that huge on it. And it's just an insanely quotable movie that's just scene after scene, just filled with comedic genius, with great comedic delivery by these actors. Definitely a film that I'm completely unashamed to love, because I think not only is it a great comedy, but it's also just a genuinely great film. And that's why it's number 9 on my list.
Now, is everyone nice and pissed off?
Yeah!
Good! Time to write a rock song! Now, what makes you mad more than anything in the world? Billy.
You.
Billy, we've already told me off. Let's move on.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Okay, you see me after class.
Ba-na-na-na-na. Neo. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. Sporting.
So number 8, we have Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Oh boy, I don't know how anybody's going to react to this one. This film is absolutely stupid. This is like the most stupidest film that I've ever seen in my entire life. But what I love so much about this film is that it's absolutely unashamed of what it is, and it commits fully to what it's doing. And I feel like Steve Odenkirk is somebody who honestly struck gold with this film. And I understand that it's a film that is going to be too much for a lot of people, and it's a film that some people are not going to find funny at all because it's just too outrageous and just too stupid. But this is a film that, even though it's outrageously stupid, it's a film that, honestly, like, it might be like one of the funniest movies that I've ever seen. Every time I watch this film, and I have seen it at least over 15 or 20 times, I am absolutely dying of laughter. And there's got to be something special about that when a film, despite you having seen it 20 times, still makes you just die of laughter. And yeah, even though this film is absolutely absurd, everything about it just works. And it's just like, there's not a dull moment in this film. Like, everything about this film, just, I find absolutely hilarious. And really curious to see what you guys are going to think of it, because I don't know how y'all are going to react to this. This film gets often compared to Kung Fu Hustle, which came out around a similar time. And I've seen Kung Fu Hustle a few times, like a long time ago, but I remember it being good, but I don't really remember much of it, so eventually I'm going to have to give that a rewatch. But Kung Pao is definitely the one that like I fell in love with and has stuck with me all these years. And it's one of the most quotable movies ever made. Arguably the most quotable movie ever made. It's a film that I find myself quoting on a daily basis, and yeah, there's something that you learned about me that you probably had no idea about, but there it is. It's out there. Can't take it back. But either way, I found this movie gut-bustingly hilarious, and that's why it's number 8 on my list.
It's impossible. You'll never make it. Never make it. Ever make it. Never make it. Never make it. You'll never make it. Ever. Don't you see you can make it?
I implore you to reconsider.
Okay.
Greatest country in the world. All other countries are run by little girls.
So at number 7, we have Borat. Borat is definitely a film that's not controversial at all. This is a film that I'm pretty sure everybody loves. And I was really surprised to see how effective the second one was. Obviously, I like the first one better. But the second one's actually still really good. I have a review up for it on the channel if you want to check it out. But yeah, the first Borat blew me the hell away. I remember seeing this in theaters when I was like 14 or 15, and probably a little bit too young to watch it then. But I don't regret watching it because I remember watching it in the theater, just packed full of people, and they were just dying the entire film. I mean, it was a packed theater too, and they were all just having a blast with this film. And this is a film that I've seen just numerous times, and every time I see it, it just does not get old. Sacha Baron Cohen is, I don't know how this man keeps a straight face doing what he does. He's arguably like the king of social experiment humor, and I don't know how he does it. Like, this man needs to get an award one day just for being able to keep poker face, because this guy makes people do outrageous shit. He says outrageous shit, and I don't know how he's able to do all this shit without laughing. That takes some true discipline and talent. And I love the guy for that. And this film is just filled with all these different social interactions and just outrageous skits that you can't even believe somebody would put themselves through and do it. It's a brilliant social satire that also just has outrageous, like, gross out humor that I think somehow blends really well with it. So yeah, I love Borat to death, and that's why it's number 7 on my list.
I will look on your treasures, Gypsy. Is this understood? I will look on them.
Please do.
Who is this lady you have shrunk? Was she the owner of this house that you camp in front of?
There's a couple more child's dolls.
Do not try shrink me, Gypsy. I serious.
So at number 6, we have Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. So most of y'all that follow the channel, y'all know that I have a deep love for Life Aquatic. It's my personal favorite Wes Anderson film. If I had to pick an objective best Wes Anderson film, it would more than likely be The Grand Budapest Hotel. But this is my personal favorite. This is a film that I've seen over 15, 20 times, and it just never gets old. But I will say I think this is like the exception in the list where I include a film that has some drama in it, because, I mean, it's mostly comedy. But yes, it's a film that has its dramatic and emotional moments that really resonate with me. And yeah, so I kind of cheated by putting this in the list just by a little bit, but I think it's definitely mostly comedy and it makes me laugh a lot, so I think it qualifies even under my own standard. But yeah, I've already talked my head off about this film. I think it's really brilliant, really unique, and obviously quite hilarious, so that's why it's number 6 on my list.
Look, if you're not against me, don't cross this line. If yes, do. I love you all. Are you sure?
Yes, I am.
I don't understand. Why?
What do you mean? Wait a second, what are we doing? You said cross the line if...
Cross the line if you're going to quit.
Oh. Do it again. I misunderstood.
Gonna find my baby, gonna hold her tight, gonna grab some afternoon delight.
So at number 5, we have Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. I don't know how y'all are gonna feel about this one. I think most people like this movie quite a bit, but this is a film that I really, really love. Again, one of those movies where no matter how many times you pop it in, no matter how many times you watch it, the shtick just never gets old. All these characters and, Paul Rudd, Christina Applegate, obviously Will Ferrell, and Steve Carell, just their comedic timing and their delivery just makes this film so enjoyable and insanely quotable. Film that, again, I can't really go a day without quoting somehow. Yeah, just a really stupid movie, but it's a stupid movie that I feel like is also cleverly put together in a way. It has this giant fight scene between different news teams that is unforgettable and iconic. It's some of the funniest shit that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I just love this entire film. This is a film that just throws so many jokes at you and just has so many attempts at humor. And I feel like pretty much all of it lands really well. So that's why it's number 5 on my list.
Yep. It's made with bits of real panther. So you know it's good.
It's quite pungent.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, it's a formidable scent. Stings the nostrils. In a good way.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm going to be honest with you. That smells like pure gasoline.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
So at number 4, we have Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is a film that obviously everybody loves. This is my favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. Yes, Hot Fuzz is great. It's an amazing comedy. But in my opinion, nothing in the trilogy is as brilliant as Shaun of the Dead. It's a film that obviously Edgar Wright wrote and directed. And everything about the filmmaking in this is absolutely incredible. I love the dialogue in this film, not only how it's delivered by these wonderful actors, but just how it's written, because there's a lot of repeated phrases in this film, where each time it gets repeated, there's like a new contextual meaning to it. And I just think it's really brilliant writing. Also, the directing is incredible. The pace of this and just how everything's edited and put together. It's something that Edgar Wright is known for, and I feel like he achieves his style really brilliantly in this film. Yeah, just such a wonderful film. Everybody's talked their heads off about it, so I can't really say much. But it's a film that I really love. It has a really special place in my heart, and that's why it's number 4 on my list. So number 3, we have The Big Lebowski. The Big Lebowski is such a hilarious film, and I have a really interesting relationship to this film because the first time I watched this film back in high school, I thought it was good, but like I didn't understand why people thought it was like the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I gave it another shot, and the second time I was like, okay, yeah, I think I see why people really love this film. And then I just kept giving it rewatches, and I was like, okay, holy shit, this movie is comedic brilliance, it's comedic gold, and it's now one of my favorite comedies ever made. Because it's just like, it's weird. This is a film that I feel like almost each time you watch it, it just gets even more funnier. Maybe that's just because you like already know the story and where it heads, and then you're already kind of like used to these characters, you're really accustomed to them, so it's an easier time on rewatch. But it's a film that is really interesting and unique, and has just the most brilliantly written characters. Walter Sobchak, played by John Goodman, the Vietnam veteran. Just every time he brings up Vietnam, it just absolutely kills me inside. The dude, obviously played by Jeff Bridges, super iconic character, and obviously he embodies that character incredibly well. And the dialogue in this film is written to perfection, and it's obviously delivered to perfection, because as cartoony as this film can sometimes be, all the dialogue feels incredibly authentic, and a lot of it has to do with, again, the way that it's directed, the timing of it, and just how a lot of it's delivered. And you just gotta love this film, man. Like, this is a film that, again, no matter how many times I watch it, it just somehow keeps getting funnier. And that's why it's number 3 on my list.
Is this your homework, Larry? Is this your homework, Larry?
Look, man.
Please. Is this your homework, Larry?
Just ask him about the car, man.
Is this yours, Larry? Is this your homework,
Is
Larry?
that your car out front?
Is this your homework, Larry?
We know it's his fucking homework. Where's the fucking money, you little brat?
Look, Larry, have you ever heard of Vietnam?
Back up in your ass with the resurrection.
So number 2, we have Office Space. Office Space is a film that I've kind of been dying to talk about on this channel, but I felt like, where am I ever going to get a chance to talk about this film? And finally, I get a moment to talk about this film. This is a brilliant film. Mike Judge is the writer and director of this film, and he's such a brilliant writer and director because he's the guy behind King of the Hill. He's the guy behind Beavis and Butthead, and he's made a live action film. I think he's also made Idiocracy, which is also a really well made film, pretty funny. But obviously, I think Office Space is superior. But Mike Judge is somebody who, he knows comedy and he knows how to write and direct something incredibly well. But Mike Judge is obviously somebody who really knows what he's doing. I think he's one of the more underrated talents that we have, who doesn't really get brought up that much. But Office Space is just such a brilliant film. Not only do I think like it's a sincere film about how, you know, we live in a country where people just absolutely hate their jobs. The vast majority of the people hate their jobs. And we basically just do it to get through the day and to be able to live and pay bills. And this film like embodies that very notion, but in a really satirical and comedic way. And you gotta love the character of Bill Lumbergh too. I mean, he's also absolutely iconic at this point.
I almost forgot. I'm also gonna need you to go ahead and come in on Sunday too. Friday is Hawaiian Shirt Day. So, you know, if you want to, go ahead and wear a Hawaiian shirt and jeans.
Jennifer Aniston, also fantastic in this film. And yeah, like this is a film that I just find hilarious from start to finish. And it's a film that doesn't even try hard either. Like, it's a film that, and that's kind of a thing with Mike Judge. Like, I feel like he's somebody who doesn't really have to try hard with his comedy, but is still able to land these gut-bustingly hilarious scenarios and moments. And that's something that I really love about Mike Judge. But yeah, Ron Livingston, everybody in this film was really great. And again, also just insanely quotable film. I'm going to give a shout out to my former boss at the airport, Michael Thornton. Me and him used to quote this movie like all day, every day. And it made work such a fun and easy time to get through. But yeah, I absolutely love this film. Obviously, one of my favorite comedies of all time. A film that never gets old. And that's why it's number 2 on my list. Alright guys, the time has come. It's finally time to reveal my number 1 comedy of all time. I'm sure that there are a nice handful of you guys out there who have an idea of what it is. But without further ado, my favorite comedy of all time is...
Just remember that you're standing on a planet that's evolving and revolving at 900 miles an hour.
Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. So, I've talked about this film before. I believe I talked about it in my last top 12 personal favorite movies ever made. I only had to choose one Monty Python film because if I would have choose all the Monty Python films, they would have took up too much in this list, and I wanted this list to be more inclusive, and that's basically what I'm going to do with all the other lists. But yeah, Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, it's just a perfect blend of satirical genius and just absolutely goofball and gross out comedy. Monty Python seems to always find that perfect medium of just like sheer genius and clever and comedic satire, and just blend that with just like also really absurd and stupid humor. And the Monty Python's Meaning of Life, I feel like just blends it together beautifully than any other Monty Python film. I understand that Monty Python, The Holy Grail, is most people's favorite, but Monty Python's Meaning of Life just has that element of philosophical satire that I think is absolutely brilliant, and it's just filled with unforgettable skits that I find just gut-bustingly hilarious. There are moments in this film that will literally have me in tears no matter how many times I watch it. And it's crazy because The Meaning of Life is the most slept-on Monty Python film because throughout my life, I only heard about Life of Brian and Holy Grail. I didn't even know The Meaning of Life existed until I had to do research on my own. And it's a film that I think everybody really needs to watch, especially if you've been sleeping on it, because I do think it's the most brilliantly made Monty Python film. And it's just a film that I find really genius throughout, and that's why it's number 1 on the list.
You what? French ticklers, black mambos, crocodile ribs, sheaths that are designed not only to protect, but also to enhance the stimulation of sexual congress.
Have you got one?
Have I got one? Well, no. But I can go down the road any time I want and walk into Harry's and hold my head up high and say in a loud, steady voice, Harry, I want you to sell me a condom. In fact, today I think I'll have a French tickler, for I am a Protestant.
But there you have it. That's my top 20 favorite comedies ever made. I apologize if I didn't really dive that deep into these films. It's just, I mean, one, they're comedy, so it's kind of hard to really talk about it besides the fact that you think that they're hilarious. And also, you know, I don't want to make this video that bloatedly long because it's already going to be a long video. But, yeah, either way, I still hope you guys really enjoyed this list. I can't wait to make more lists. I got a top 20 animated films list coming up soon. I haven't made it yet because I'm still trying to get through all of the wonderful recommendations you guys gave me. I don't want to really finalize that list until I watch some of these animated films that I feel like I would really like. So, yeah, with all that being said, I really appreciate it if you enjoyed this video. If you really did, please give it that thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.